Hey there, welcome to GC365,
Hey.
February 10th today, day 41. Congratulations for making it this far. And if this is your first one that you're watching or you're catching up or however you're doing it, we're just happy you're here and watching. My name is Jacob. I'm a creative director here at Gold Creek, and this is my good friend.
Hey, I'm Alex. I'm the worship pastor
Hi, Alex.
over at Woodinville.
Yes.
So I'm here today hanging out with you.
Fun fact about us, Alex worked at Gold Creek for probably about a year before we probably had like our first real conversation. And it was all because of COVID.
Yay,
so
COVID.
Thank you, COVID. When it hit and we had to go all online, Alex basically stepped in to be a video guy, which is my main thing. And so
Jack of all trades, master of none. You know?
That's
He's the master of
look
videos.
at it.
I'll stick with music. So
So it's good. I call him a video guy now. So
I am a
really
video
fun.
guy, kind of.
Anyways, so that's enough about us. We're going to jump into today's reading, and it starts out in Exodus 30. There's a few things I wanted to touch on this first part, and the first one is tithing. So a little bit of backstory if you haven't read it yet, or maybe you have, but there was a census that needed to be taken, and it was told that they needed to give a portion of their silver for this census. Every man had to, and whether you were rich or you were poor, you couldn't give more, and you couldn't give less than this specific offering. And so I just wanted to take a little time to talk about tithing and what that means. And tithing is not just giving money to God. It's giving a specific amount, 10%. It's not more, it's not less. Your tithing is 10%. And the reason this is God doesn't want our money. It's more of a heart thing. Yeah. And he just wants us to not put money first. And so, Alex, I wanted to ask you, how has tithing affected you in just your spiritual walk?
Yeah. So my wife and I moved up here, 6 years ago, right after we got married, right? So moving up to the Seattle area and kind of just starting marriage, tithing was a huge thing that we wanted to make sure that we did in our marriage, was put that first. It was different because, I didn't grow up in the church or anything, so giving money to the church wasn't a huge priority.
Right.
But we started getting in the church, that's something we really wanted to do. We made that the first thing that we wanted to do when we got married. And I'm gonna be honest, it was crazy. So our first year of marriage, we were making dirt money. Because again, we're both working in Seattle, paying way too much for a studio apartment.
It's expensive.
Working at Starbucks. So barely minimum wage. I was making a little bit above minimum wage. So trusting God with our finances was super important for us because
it's hard.
We had to. And it was just one of those things all right, God, we don't have enough money to put food on the table, but we're going to trust you and you're going to work things out. And surprisingly, we were talking about this actually a few weeks ago, my wife and I.
It's perfect timing.
We were going to the movies every weekend. Have no clue how we could afford it because it was so expensive. But it was just one of those things every Sunday after church, we'd go see a movie. And again, we just trusted God in our finances. And somehow we were able to pay all our bills off, pay off our debt.
That's great.
Do stuff like that. So tithing is, again, it's just been a trusting in God. Just hey, even though finances may not look the way I want to, God, I know what you have for me is good. And you're going to keep blessing me and my family if we just trust in you.
Yeah.
So.
And God uses that money that you give to bless what he's doing. And so one of the things here at Gold Creek is, that tithe goes to help spread the outreach that we do here to reach new people. Yeah. And for me, tithing has been huge for me and my wife. And we've just put all our trust in God, and he's been blessing us abundantly through this crazy time that we've been having. We've been able to buy our first home.
Yeah,
and that was... I did not think that was going to be possible, but God has come through for us. And so it's just another step in that you just trust God. He means what he says. And to go through with that. Now, there was a few other things that I wanted to touch on for Exodus 30 that I thought were kind of crazy. The first one is Aaron and his sons, in order to go into the tabernacle, they had to wash their hands and feet. And if they didn't, they would just die. Could you imagine every time you wanted to go to God and you didn't do one of these steps, you literally just died.
That's it.
It's over. Game over. There's no restart. So it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But what I wonder, one of the questions that I had was this crazy to them? In that culture they were in, all of these different rules and regulations and steps they had to follow, was that weird? Because right now, if that just all of a sudden happened to us, I would probably be dead. I don't know if I would remember to do everything.
So don't shake your hand. Just remember that. Anytime you walk to the church, I'm not going to shake your hand now.
But was that weird to them? Or was it just something else that they had to do that was just another part of their day?
Yeah, I think it was kind of normal because you think about it, especially in these times, gods, right? Like these idols, and you think of like Greek gods and all these other mythical creatured gods were a huge thing back then. And every single god had like requirements of how to be with them and be in them, be near them, and
that's a really good point.
Pray to them. So I think, it's kind of normal, because it's just like you got to be clean.
Yeah.
I think it's probably normal. This is just something they had to do and be in front of God. So
yeah, it's really good. And just to see that slow transition from all of these things to not anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, for real.
Okay, so that's enough about Exodus 30. Let's go on to Exodus 31. I love Exodus. There's so many of like the most famous stories in the Bible in Exodus. So it's really a fun book to read.
Yeah.
But Exodus 31 is about the Sabbath.
Yep.
And I think it's really easy just on the top to go, man, I wish we just had a forced day of no work. Like, oh my gosh, this week has been rough.
Yes.
I just want a forced day where no one's asking me to do anything, which sounds really nice on the top of it. But here's the catch. You ready for this?
Yep.
If you didn't take the Sabbath seriously, you died.
Yep. Always dead.
There seems to be a really common theme with this book. If you didn't follow the rules specifically, you died.
Yep, you did. You're gone.
So that's like on top seems really nice. Underneath, it's kind of scary.
A little crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I always hear, man, a forced Sabbath would be great. Well, yes, but if you did anything, you're dead.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I need it because I'm going to die if I don't get a fourth Sabbath. You know what I mean? Like, we need to take a day off.
A lot of people probably feel that way.
Yeah.
And one of the funny things at the end of this that it just popped in my head, this kind of how I think, the 10 Commandments are given out. Could you imagine having that pressure of like coming down the mountain, carrying those things, and like you accidentally fall and they like break and like the handwritten tablets by God are like shattered? So much pressure.
I couldn't imagine that. Like, and I'm also thinking like it's probably not like a hill, right? It's a mountain.
Yeah.
So he's not just like
heavy.
He's not just walking down, just like nonchalantly, like easy, just incline. Like he's probably
not easy
climbing and going through some like obstacles. It's probably not an easy climb, but he did it with the 10 Commandments, which is insane. Yeah, I can do that.
It's true. That's kind of how I think
there to do that with. So.
The Bible is so fun in ways where you can kind of find little things like that, and it just kind of. Because that last time, that didn't dawn on me that we read through the 1 year Bible. But this time, it just kind of funny little things stick out to me where I'm like, wow, okay, that probably, there's a little more to that than what it says.
Oh, for sure.
So we're going to jump from the Old Testament into the New Testament, and we are at a very, very important part in the story of Jesus. And this is in the garden when Judas comes to betray him. And so one of the first things that popped into my head was this is the beginning of the end. It's Jesus's entire ministry has led up to basically this moment.
Yeah.
And he knew it from the beginning. And what is crazy to me is we just had the dinner, the final supper with everybody, and he just drops the bomb, right? Like you're sitting at this big meal with everybody, and Jesus is like, thank you all for coming. I just want to say one of you, one of your best friends who you've been traveling with forever.
Yeah.
Doing all of these crazy things is going to betray all of you. And it's going to happen soon. And I'm going to die. Could you imagine just the mood then? Like, oh my gosh.
It's like way to kill the party.
Yes.
Thanks,
crazy, crazy. But so that leads us to this moment where Judas comes with the Pharisees and he betrays Jesus with a kiss.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind. I couldn't imagine being like doing all these miracles with Jesus, and then all of a sudden he's like being taken away. Like it scares them so much that one of them cuts off the ear of a guard because he's like, no, you can't do this. Like you can't. And what blows my mind is what really sticks out is Jesus himself was scared. Like he did not want to go through this. He begs, I believe, 3 times to have God just not go through with this. But the last time, he's like, you know what? If this is what has to be done, then it has to be done. But I really hope it doesn't. And it did have to happen. But through this, from when he gets taken until they basically condemn him to die, was there anything that stuck out to you about?
Yeah. One of the things that he says, like we were talking about right before someone got their ear chopped off, the guards come and they find him, and, Judas is like, I'm going to kiss the guy, whoever I kiss on the cheek, that's who you can come and take. And Judas walks up and kisses him. And as soon as they kind of meet face to face, I love Jesus' response. He says, my friends, go ahead and do what you've come to do. And like literally again, like he's just kind of like, I already know who you are. Let's do this. Let's get this over with. Take me. Like God's will's got to be done. And that's just a crazy response. Like he just runs into these guys and he already knows what's going to happen. Right. Yep. And for me, like reading through this, it's like watching a movie when you already know the outcome.
Yeah.
But you're still watching it and you're just like, no, Jesus, like, no, like run away.
It blows your mind
like,
every time.
Yeah,
like you sit there in suspense.
Exactly. And like, obviously we know the outcome, right? Spoiler alert, Jesus comes back from the dead and all that stuff. But it's like, still like we're reading this whole thing and people are betraying him and just all the stuff that he goes through. And you're just like, it's hard. So scared for him too. And you see the fear, you read about the fear of Jesus.
Absolutely.
So it's crazy.
And one thing that really kind of hit me this time around is we look at Judas as this staple guy of sin, basically the betrayal of Jesus. But what really hit me this time is we all have a little bit of Judas inside of us, just because there is sin in the world, and when we sin, it's pushing us away from God, which is what Judas did with God. It was the betrayal of Jesus. And so it's always good for us to pray to God, to look to Jesus, to try and live in that way, because there is a little bit of Judas inside of everybody. It's just human nature.
For sure.
But that was what kind of really stuck out to me. Psalms is always great. Proverbs is always great, but there was a lot of really good stuff in Exodus and Matthew that I wanted to touch on over those. But if anything stuck out to you in Psalms or in Proverbs, please comment that. We would love to hear what stuck out to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Alex, for joining me today. Keep with it, guys. It really is worth it. And we hope that we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. See you soon.